And we're back. I think this is entry number 4. It's been a while. I think it's been like a few weeks since I made my last entry. I've just been enjoying life and trying to live every day with no expectations, but at the same time, just trying to move forward. And it's been good, been busy, but it's been the right kind of busy where I've been productive, but at the same time, I've been getting rest and also just trying to stay in alignment. I realize I'm on this journey, the pathless path, and how I envision it is just trekking, walking through bushes, but there's no trail. And on my journey, I'm just picking up these Easter eggs. And each egg that I pick up, I'm learning more about myself and the people around me and just life in general. And it's been good. Living a life with no expectations, but at the same time, you're able to see the progress that you're making, but also not getting caught up in achieving your goals. So yeah, I've just been learning to love things. I've recently picked up hockey again. My my fire for the game, it seems like it's back. And at the same time, I'm putting myself out there without having any expectations, which is still it's kind of hard. I had a game last night, a ball hockey game, and I thought I'd be much better. I was definitely rough. It was rough. It was my first time playing ball hockey, or at least my first time playing hockey in 8 years. My first time playing ball hockey in 10. So it was a little rough, but the good thing about hockey is that it's like a bike. Um, Everything kind of just comes back to you once you get out there. And I've just been having fun with it, falling deeper in love with the game, and not so much following the NHL, but learning about other leagues and just embedding myself and really getting deep into the culture and just having love for the game. I've recently been working on a project as well, um, that will remain unnamed unless you've been following me on social media. Then you have an idea of what I'm kind of working on. I don't even really know what the project is. Um, I have no expectations for it. It's purely just out of love. And I find when I operate in that space, everything is just better. So I have no goals for it. Um, it's been fun. And one thing I've learned, that I've been experimenting with is like all my greatest ideas come from a state of being still, of just doing nothing. Like the other day, I'm recording this on a Tuesday, but Saturday night, I just I sat in my living room and I just stared at the ceiling and just had no thoughts. Or at least I tried my hardest not to think. I was thinking about not thinking. And it was good. It was so relaxing. I mean, yeah, I had some thoughts about, I'm wasting my time. I could be doing something more productive. But I just brought my awareness to those thoughts. And that was it. I didn't let those thoughts consume me. But there's something super peaceful. Life really is a game of like yin and yang, and just you're constantly like bound, you're constantly fighting like two forces. Maybe you're not fighting it, maybe that's not the right way to go about it, but like it's like I mentioned, I'm laying down and I'm thinking about all the things I could be doing better with my time. But at the same time, laying down and not doing anything was a challenge. But as I was laying down, I got some really good ideas, and now I'm just kind of acting upon them. But I feel like there's a lot of things I want to talk about because it's been a while since we last I last did an entry. I've been trying to make a video, but it's just if I'm not feeling it, then I'm just not going to do it. So my goal really was to upload once a week. But if I don't have anything to say, if there's nothing, if it's not coming from the heart, then what's the point? But this is something that's actually something I kind of want to discuss is because I've talked about operating purely out of gut instinct. And with this project that I'm working on, I feel like my heart is kind of taking over. And now there's many forces in the body that plays a part in decision making. Um, a few, for example, would be the mind, the gut. But I find less people talk about the heart. And so when you're making decisions purely from the heart, I find, and I could be wrong, it's a mixture of the gut and your mind. Let me explain. So, if you're passionate about something, that typically comes from the heart. And sometimes the heart can make foolish decisions. Like, for example, do I really want to go there? I mean, yeah, screw it. Um, at least if you're a guy listening to this, you've been there when like maybe you're hanging out with a girl, right? And you really like you go on a date and then you kind of realize that like fuck, like we have nothing really in common or she's not really my type, but she's so hot and she's into you and you can hit. you know? It's like, ah fuck, like damn, I really don't see a future with this girl, but she's hot and she's into me, so like do I hit and kind of risk that whole thing of like what if she catches feelings and it becomes a mess or whatever the case is. Maybe that like you ever been around someone who just makes your heart beat, but at the same time you know they're like they're not good for me, but there's something there. I think that's a better analogy. But yeah, that's the heart taking over. And I feel like it's a mixture of both, of like the mind and the gut. But if you're able to get all three of them aligned on the same thing, that's very powerful, but very few people are able to do that. Like it's super rare. I feel like it's 0.001% of people who can actually operate out of that. And you can't operate out of that instinct purely. Like it's not something where you can just like, okay, I'm purely going to do things from the heart. It's super rare and super difficult, nor do I think you want to. Because sometimes your heart can take you to places that aren't ideal for you. And so with this project that I'm working on, I find the heart is really taking over. And so instead of just leading through my heart, I kind of have to take a step back and I need to check myself. If I can get my heart and my gut to work, like if it can just team up and work in unison, then I know that I'm making the right decision. But right now, I feel like it's more heart than anything. Maybe because it's just something I've been passionate about. It's something that I have a long history with. And once the time is right, I'll kind of announce the project. But like I said, if you're following me on social media, then you kind of have a good idea. But was that a good analogy? Like, I'm sure you've kind of been there. You're on a date with someone new, and like you kind of think, like, oh, this could be the one. This person could be the one, and your heart's pounding, and you lead with it, and you just open up to them. You express yourself fully to them. You're there for them. You show up, and it just doesn't work out. And sometimes it blows up in your face. And a lot of times that's the mind. But I find if that person makes your heart race, then obviously that is the heart taking over. So I do believe there's many forces that do play a part in decision making and how you go about life. I'm not sure if I'm making any sense right now, but this is a journal, so it doesn't really have to make sense, I guess. But overall, life has been interesting. I'm growing as a person. I'm learning a lot about myself. I've been kind of like experiencing some failures as well. I believe in the last video we talked about that situation to happen between me and a friend. I think we talked about it. Hopefully, I did because I don't feel like bringing it up again. But yeah, it's been getting tested a lot, and just haven't really. I've been doing okay. I mean, like I've been kind of probably like 50%, and when I'm saying that I've been getting tested, I mean like the life has just been throwing some tests at me and seeing if I'm really about the things that I say. Do I really walk the walk, or is it walk the talk? I don't know. Um, do I really embody the things that I talk about? And at the same time, like it sucks when you don't act in accordance or in alignment with who you are. But at the same time, it's kind of a sigh of relief because then there's a lot more growing that you need to do. And so there's been a few things that I have not been proud of. But at the same time, I'm proud that I'm able to bring awareness to these situations, and I'm just trying to get better. For example, like I have an anger issue. It was tough for me to even say that out loud. Maybe it's not even an issue. Maybe it's just because when you think of an issue, you kind of think of something negative, and I don't really think it's something negative. It's just something that I have to bring awareness to, and maybe I have to keep it in check. And by keeping it in check, that doesn't mean I need to hide it. But I really think everything kind of comes down to awareness. And I think self awareness is way more important than self improvement. Um, just something I can't stand anymore. I haven't really been able to stand for a while. It's like those self improvement podcasts. Like the thing with me is like if you're gonna be a dick, if you're gonna be an asshole, then just embody it. Then just be an asshole. Don't be an asshole and pretend that you're not an asshole. You know? It's like I'm not trying to bash women, but it's like those women who kind of, you know, they're a hoe, but then they act religious. Like, oh yeah, like from Monday to Saturday, they're a complete hoe, but on Sunday they go to church. And it's like, just be a hoe full time, be a full time hoe. Like, it's just like, who are you fooling? You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, I just feel like just be you. And that doesn't mean just be an asshole all the time. It just means like, okay, just bring awareness to the fact that like, yeah, what I'm doing is this is what I'm doing. Period. And if you want to change, you can change. But don't act like you're changing when you're really not putting in the effort. But at the same time, when it comes to me, it's like, why do I care? Let people be them. If people want to, have 2 feet in and play both sides, and go ahead. So I'm kind of like learning. Everything is kind of like a paradox in a way because I'm learning to like just let things be. But at the same time, I've experienced, how do I say it? So basically, like, if I'm like, if I'm hanging out with a girl, right, and things are kind of getting serious, I'm at the point now where like I'm just super comfortable with myself. I'm comfortable with people being them. Um, the biggest thing I care about is just having peace in my life. And so when I'm with a girl and she's kind of interfering with my peace, I'm very easy to cut them off, which isn't great because if you want to be in a relationship with someone and you want to grow with them and you want to turn this into like maybe a lifetime thing, you have to learn to work with discomfort. And so I'm at the point where if I'm going through any discomfort with a girl, with a woman, if I feel like there's some discomfort, I'm typically like I'm the type where I'll be like, okay, like if we can't fix this issue right now, then I'll just talk to you tomorrow when you cool off, or I'll just cut them off completely. And I don't know if I really like that because it's really hard to grow that way. So I'm kind of um, just kind of exploring it and trying to go through the discomfort without losing myself and letting it interfere with anything that I'm going through, anything that I'm working on. So yeah, I kind of feel like I just kind of unpacked a lot without really making sense. So I'm not sure how this entry is gonna go, but I figured we got some more questions. I haven't looked at these ones yet, so let me just pick a few random ones. We'll go one, two, three, and possibly four. Okay, so just pick some random questions. Um, the first one says, "What does living on your own terms actually look like day to day?" So, what does your what does living on your own terms actually look like day to day? So, um, a lot of people think that for you to live on your own terms, you need to like be your own boss. You need to be self-employed um, to really live fully or experience freedom. I don't think that's true. I think you can shape your environment around you. So if you want to live fully, but you still have a job, I'm not even sure if this is really what the question's asking, but this is just what comes to mind. I think you can live fully and experience freedom to the highest state while also, you know, working on salary, getting a paycheck from your employer. I think living fully on your own terms is, are you able to express yourself meaningfully in the way that you want, um, in a consistent manner? So you can have a job and still not do that whole customer service voice or thing. I believe so. But at the same time, like if you're employed by someone and they expect you to kind of be not two faced, but two sided, like, hey, how you act away from work has to be different than how you are at work. Um, they have the right to let you go, and that is what it is. But if you also have to live with those consequences. So if you're cool with just like, hey, I'm gonna act like how I want to act, as long as I'm not being disrespectful to anybody, but I don't feel like selling myself in a certain way just to fit this image, or to fit these expectations that you have of me, that's totally fine. But if they let you go or whatever the case is, um, you just have to live with those consequences. However, I feel like when you are acting truly in alignment and you're just being you, and you know you're not being disrespectful, like you're not trying to disrespect anybody, and things don't work your way, or at least the way that you wanted it to, you can still experience um, a sense of pride knowing that, hey, like I did what I want to do. I tried to shape my environment around me and it didn't work. Um, but it is what it is. Because at least you're able to act like yourself and just be yourself, and it didn't work out. That's you living fully on your terms rather than you trying to fake being someone else and then it doesn't work. And then you're at home being like, fuck, I should have just been myself anyways. So yeah, you can live fully, on your own terms. And now what does that actually look like? I think it's just like having regrets, no regrets, and just not double like overthinking. and just letting things be. And that's just what I've been working on. It's just like letting things be and just, yeah, being myself, but at the same time, like also having to check myself because sometimes you have to put yourself in other people's shoes to really understand what they're saying and, where they're coming from. And so I'm the type of person where, like, if I do something wrong, let's say I get into an argument with a friend or a partner, um, I may have to take a day or two just to really sit back and really analyze, like, okay, like, did I do something wrong? Let me put myself in their shoes and really understand the problem. Like, I'm kind of slow like that. Like, if you're listening to this, you probably know how slow I am when it comes to some things. So, but at the same time, like, I do things purely out of passion, out of love. And love is like the deepest feeling. So if you really want to understand people and you really want to feel what they're saying and what they're trying to tell you, sometimes you may need to take some time and just take a step back and analyze. And so I think, yeah, like, what does it look like day to day is just having no regrets and just being fully comfortable in who you are and the decisions that you're making. Um, and just not having really any expectations. And kind of a sidebar, but I really feel like having like expectations get in the way of a lot of things, um, especially when it comes to partners. Like, I really wonder what life would be like if we didn't have such high expectations for the people around us and just allowing them to be. Like, my oldest friends, the people who I like truly enjoy and truly love, like, it's three of them. It's people who I grew up with. I have no expectations of them. You know that saying where they're like, it's something like the people around you shape who you're going to be in the future, whatever that saying is. Like, it's true, but it's not. I mean, yeah, if you're hanging around a bunch of bums all the time, then for sure they're going to bring you down. But at the same time, like, I have no expectations of my friends. They don't have to text me all the time. They don't have to reach out to me on my birthday, whatever the case is. They don't have to be making a certain amount of money, where, you know what I mean? It's like, I just like you for you. And like, you make me feel, good, wherever the case is. I love talking to you. I love hanging out with you. It's just, it is what it is. I like you because of who you are. And I don't need anything from you. So there are friends who I talk to maybe once a year or once every few years, wherever the case is. But if they called me and they really needed me, then I'm there for them in a heartbeat. And I'm trying to explore that with relationships as well. Like, when everyone has the ideal person of who they want to be with. Like, guys want to be with a girl who cooks and does whatever, or maybe gives them a massage or whatever the case is. Like, I'm just learning not to have any of those expectations. Like, oh, you don't want to cook? That's cool. Like, I guess I'll just cook for the both of us. Or we'll just go, get something to eat. Not saying I want to be with a bum, but at the same time, it's just like, it is what it is. Like, how do you make me feel? Are you an asset or a liability at the end of the day? So, yeah, just kind of something that I've been exploring. Um, that's kind of a sidebar, but we'll get into the next one. See, the thing is, because I haven't done an entry in such a long time, like, I feel like I was on a good roll, and then I stopped, and now it's just like it's kind of hard to formulate my thoughts again. But anyways, it is what it is. Next question. What would you tell someone who's comfortable but deeply unfilled? So I think I think that's like the security question, or like, how, like, for example, people are working a job that they hate, but it pays good money. They get a good paycheck. Um, I can only speak for myself. the journey I've been on, and I've talked about it in previous entries, I believe. When I look back on the past like 5 years or so, like it's been deeply uncomfortable, but I've been deeply fulfilled in what I'm working on. And I've reached a state in my life where like I'm comfortable with who I am and I found my voice. Like through this process, I believe I found who I am, at least at this moment, because I'm constantly evolving. But it's been really good knowing that like, oh, like, yeah, it's been a little bit uncomfortable, but because I'm fulfilled, I can deal with the lack of security. And I think it's easier for a man to deal with it than a woman. Um, because men typically are doing, I'm just talking about in the sense of like a job or whatever the case is, like men are typically used to doing like shitty work, um but they tend to find deeper meaning when it comes to life. And so if you were to ask me like, should you chase being fulfilled in life or security, um it's hard for me to tell a woman to chase fulfillment. I think everyone should, but I'm not a woman and I'm not everyone. So maybe it depends on your scenario. And I can only speak for myself, but I've learned so much in the past 5 years. From when I was from high school till now, I feel like I got like not like dropping out of college was the best decision I ever made, hands down. And I kind of see that with a lot of, I mean, especially if you're into like entrepreneurship, whatever the case is, a lot of these CEOs, whatever the case is, they didn't graduate college, they barely graduated high school, or they didn't have good grades. Um, a lot of them find great fulfillment, but at the same time, I know a lot of people who make good money and they're just completely lost. How many times have you heard about it, like a billionaire who killed themselves? Like they have all this security, they're completely comfortable, but they don't have that fulfillment in life. And so one thing I always did, like growing up, I don't know why I was like this, but I would always just like talk to random people on the street. Um, Whether it was like older couples, and I'd ask them like, "Hey, what's the key? Where's some keys to your marriage? What have you guys learned? What do you recommend? Like, what's your advice?" Or I talk to like CEOs and entrepreneurs, the same thing. And one thing they always talked about was just like follow your passions. Like no one who's on their deathbed wishes that they worked more, that they gave more hours to their company, to their boss. Like the only regrets they seem to have that I've seen is like they didn't do the things that truly brought them joy. And so for me, I was always like, okay, like that's maybe the answer. That's one of the keys to life is like do things that make you feel fulfilled, that bring you joy. And that's the only thing, those are the only things I care about at the moment. And I just want to keep that. For me, it's about keeping that inner child alive. And so I'm not someone who needs to be around other people. Like when I go to parties, I'm the king of Irish goodbyes. Like I just bounce. I don't say goodbye to anybody. I just leave. I just don't like large crowds. I don't like super loud music, big venues. I prefer something a little bit more intimate. But I'm truly fulfilled, like being by myself. And it took me a long time to get to this state. Like a long time. I didn't even think this was achievable. Where I'm so comfortable. Like I've always been alone, even when I'm around other people. But during those times, I still felt like I was missing out on things. And now that I'm just by myself, not in an uncomfortable way, I feel good. Like I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Like I don't feel like I'm missing out not being in a relationship or anything like that. Like if it happens for me, great. But it's not something that I'm seeking anymore. Like I'm fully comfortable just being me. And if I want to hang out with people, I'll hang out with people. And I have some really great friends. Like I have like my circle is amazing. If you're someone who I talk to kind of on a regular basis and you're listening to this, then yeah, you're kind of included in my circle. But yeah, like if I want to hang out with people, I'll hang out with people. If I want to do something, if I want to wake up and say I'm not going to work today, I'm not going to go to work. Period. I get a lot of fulfillment in just showing up because I find a lot of people just don't show up. So for me, it's just like a challenge. It's like an iron streak in sports. Like how many consecutive games can this person play? So I like to just gamify things. But I feel like yeah, I feel like just you'll know when you're fulfilled, when you're in alignment. And I feel like that's what it all comes down to is like being in alignment and just having awareness. And I feel like awareness is the biggest part of spirituality. If you're able to call yourself out on your bullshit, but at the same time not judge yourself for it, um, you're probably in a good place. Anyways, next question. What's the difference between someone who transforms and someone who just tries? What's the difference between someone who transforms and someone who just tries? I think, damn, I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about that one. I'm gonna have to think about that one. I mean, just try in general. I feel like they're kind of the same thing. I mean, if you transformed and you've evolved, but you're constantly evolving. And for you to constantly to be evolving, you have to keep trying. But it's like kind of what this whole entry has been about. Like you want to keep trying, but you don't like try to not have any expectations. So you're basically trying not to try in some ways. But I gotta think about that one. If there's one thing I could say right now, is just that keep trying and just not having any expectations in what you do. This whole discussion really is about expectations, I feel like. Um, Last question. What is your personal ethos? Um, I'm still playing around with that. That's what this whole YouTube journal entry is. Is just, I'm trying to I believe I have my own philosophy, my own ethos, but at the same time, I'm formulating it. I'm experimenting with it. If there's one thing I would say at the moment is to be, just be, have your make your imprint out on this world and just tell your story. Um, but at the same time, yeah, just live through life. And I'm really exploring this whole thing of the pathless path and just walking on this journey and just picking things up, learning about myself, learning more about life, and not having any expectations, but at the same time, just being the best person that I can be. At the same time, like, I do have a bit of an ego. And so it's like, how can I make my ego work for me? So although everyone's running their own race, like I want to be the best person in my family. Now, what does that mean to be the best person in my family? Um, like I want to be the strongest man in my family, which I believe I am. I want to be the smartest. I want to be the wealthiest. I want to be the one who kind of escaped the matrix, not in the whole Andrew Tate type of thing, but that person who was able to be the person who found themselves. I want to be able to find myself, but at the same time create who I want to be. And so that's what this whole thing is. That's why I'm talking to you today. So that hopefully in the future, I can go back and listen to this at some point and just see how much I've grown. Because when I look back on the past 5 years, like I was journaling it, but sometimes you just need to hear it. Sometimes you just need to, press play and hear yourself talk, and then you can hear the difference in your voice. But yeah, I'm formulating my whole philosophy. That's what this whole thing is. I'm learning more about myself. I'm learning more about the people around me, and I'm just sharing it. So yeah, that's it for today. Uh, Next time I'll pick the questions ahead of time. I kind of just been going through random questions in the moment, but I really want to make the next one good, or even at least better than it has been. So we'll get a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper. We'll see how I feel though, and then we'll go from there. So until the next one.